Hi and welcome back to another video. Today we are looking at Microsoft Excel's SUM functions. If you find this useful, please click on the like button and consider subscribing. It means a lot to the channel. This will be a very quick tutorial just covering off SUM, SUMIF and SUMIFS. And let's jump on over to Excel. Right, so in this example, as you can see here, I have a range of values that I would like to sum. And I'm going to show you the three different variations of summing within Excel. The very first one that we're going to look at is the bog standard sum function, and there's multiple different ways you can do this. So to start with, I'm going to cover off the AutoSum. So on the Home tab, there's the ability over on the far right hand side to just click on the AutoSum. Now, because I was immediately to the right hand side of the range of cells, it's automatically detected that the number on the left is what I would like to sum. So if I just escape that and click underneath the range and click AutoSum, it will automatically assume that I want all of the values above my current cell selection. If I press enter, you can see that's the value there. And if I come back to the ribbon and press AutoSum, I can also manually select what I would like to AutoSum, okay, or to summarize. And I'm just going to delete those off. The other ways that you can do this is type equals and sum, open up a bracket and select the values that you would like to summarize, close bracket, press enter. Likewise with the sum function, you can go equals sum, open up a bracket and click on the cells that you would like to actually summarize. So if I click this one, press comma, and press this one, press comma, press this one, press comma, press this one. And the comma works as a break between different cells. So if you had a whole range of values that were not adjacent to each other and you wanted to summarize that data, just click on the cells you would like and use a comma to separate each one of them, press enter, and now as you can see here, A2, A4, A6 and A8 are all summarized together. Okay, and that is the first sum function that I would like to show you. Okay, so next on the list is a SUMIF function, and this works by allowing you to summarize your data based on a single criteria. So for example, equals SUMIF, open up a bracket, there's three parts, and the third part is optional, you don't have to use it. So in this example I won't, I'll keep it quite clean and simple. The first one is the range. Our range is this here, so we want to summarize this range, but we want to summarize it, let's say, if it was below 100,000. Okay, so if we hit comma, we get a criteria field pop up. And from the criteria, what we want to do in quotations, you have to put it in quotations, we want to say, summarize the data if it's less than 100,000, close those quotations, and then just close a bracket, press enter. We now have a value here. I can use the format painter just to paint that into numerical values. So this is 250,500, and if I just hover above all of these cells, we can see in the bottom right hand corner with the sum function in the toolbar that we can see that it is 250,500. Okay, and that's how you'd use a SUMIF function. Now the difference between SUMIF and SUMIFS is that you can use multiple criteria if you add the S into the SUMIF. Okay, so if I show you that example, we go SUMIFS, open up a bracket. Now we have multiple parts to this. Okay, so unlike the others that have kind of like a fixed number of fields that you have to populate in the function, this one kind of carries on depending on how many criteria you'd like to actually apply to the summarized values. So I'm going to select this as an entire range to start with, which becomes my sum range. Press comma, and I get a criteria range. And they put a number 1 at the end of it, because obviously we can have criteria range 1, criteria range 2, criteria range 3, and so on, right? So the first criteria range that we would like to use. Now in this example, I'm going to use the values, but they don't have to be. You could have a different column full of names, and you could summarize the data based on a name, based on a location, based on something else. It doesn't have to be a value. But in this example, I'm just using values, as it does kind of make the example a little bit easier to digest. Right, if I press comma again, I now have the criteria. So at the moment we have the sum range, the criteria range, and then the criteria. Now the criteria has to be within the criteria range, otherwise you won't summarize anything. It'll just come up with a 0. So in this example, I'm going to say it has to be greater than, sorry, in quotations, greater than 25,000. Okay, close those quotations. Now if I press comma again, I get a second criteria range, which will be the values again in my example, but it might not be in yours. You can have multiple columns, multiple different criteria. I'm going to press comma and get to a second criteria, and this it's going to be less than 100, right? So in quotations, less than 100,000, close those quotations. So now I have two criterias. I'm not going to put any more in, but you could keep going if you wanted to. And I'm going to close the brackets off. So just to summarize, we have a range of values that we're actually summarizing. We have a criteria range and a criteria. We have a criteria range and a second criteria. If I press enter, I now have a value. I'm going to use the format painter just to pull over the same format as the other cells. And it's 98,000. Now, because it's greater than 25,000, it's not including that very first cell in our range, and because it's less than 100,000, it's not including the 120 or the last value. It's going to be summarizing everything in between, and we can just check in the it's actually not calculating that or that either. It's that one, that one, that one, that one, and there. So those values there, so less than 25,000 and sorry, less than 100,000 but greater than 25,000, so 35, 40, 28 and 95,000 comes to 198,000 as our sum value. And that's how you use sum functions within Microsoft Excel. Hopefully you guys found this useful. If you did, please click on the like button, hit subscribe, and if you tap that bell, you'll get notified of all future video releases as they are coming out. And I will catch you guys in the next video.